What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Hunter Jeff. If this is your first time watching, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, engage with this video. I want to hear your opinions on this. And today might be repetitive. I'm sure you've seen a ton of videos across, various platforms on Prismatic Evolutions. And I've put out a couple of videos, a couple of picks of the day on this. I don't care if it's repetitive, guys. I have to hammer the table on this because we're already seeing sharp rises in prices, but there are still plays to be had. So, with that said, let's get into it. All right. So, as you can see on my screen, I've got all the sealed products for Prismatic pulled up on TCG Player. I have, like I said, I really want to hammer the table on this, just like plenty of other content creators across, various platforms right now. This is definitely not anything new that I'm saying. And that's why we're going to keep it short and sweet today. I've got a few sealed products pulled up that I want to touch on because I had just put out a video on this of 151 going absolutely nuts. And then you've got Prismatic, which is a year behind it in cycle. So it'll go out of print around next April 2027. And look at what 151 is doing right now. It is absolutely exploding in price. Ask yourself, do you really think that Prismatic is not going to follow in those steps? Even if you say, I can see the argument that 151 is more popular, but just because it's the original 151 Pokemon. However, I don't think it's really a secret that Prismatic is one of the most ripped, hyped, coveted, collected sets of the modern era. That will absolutely keep demand high long term on this. When this goes out of print, guys, it's just going to go absolutely nuts. And we're already seeing price rises. We're in a different era of a market right now where people are starting to price in these sharp increases earlier and earlier. You have to be quicker now than ever before. And so in one of my videos, I had pulled up a couple of products. One was the, regular ETB. If we look at it right now, it's already over $200, guys. I mean, you see this, it's starting to, it's not even like demand is going crazy on TCG Player, at least. It's selling a lot of ETBs per week. But back in April, 650 in a week time frame. Right now, we're closer to 100. That's because we had a lot more supply back then. Supply is getting less and less. And sure, there might be more reprints. Who really knows? No one has a crystal ball. But we're definitely getting less product now than we were a year ago. That's for certain. I can say that with 100% certainty. And Prismatic will rotate out before these new printers, these new print facilities come online. This will be long out of print. I think this is just the number one play in the market right now. Again, not a secret. Plenty of people are putting out videos on that. And this is just one of the products that I had mentioned. I was buying back when these were $100, and I was buying just a few weeks ago when they were, 165. I mean, you could find them locally for 150. Um, if you weren't buying then, I really don't know what to say other than I would still be buying now. Like, there's no chance in my mind, at least, that these aren't greater than 250, 300, $350 in ETB by this time next year. And honestly, I think that's pretty conservative. But if we jump over to the next one, we've got the Pokemon Center ETB. I touched on this as well. I was absolutely screaming to buy this in one of my videos. It was one of my top choices paired with the SPC, whichever one your budget allowed you to afford. When I put out that video, they were around $400, like 420. But I did mention in that video too, you could find them locally for around 350. I picked up a few, and the only reason I know that is because I picked up a few myself at $350 cash, Facebook Marketplace. That's all it took. These are now shooting up to $550 in ETB. Again, I would still buy them if you can find them, just because the Pokemon Center versions are going to be so limited, extremely limited quantities. but it is already seeing such a sharp rise. Same with the SPC, a fantastic buy. It's it's similar to the Pokemon Center ETB in the sense that there was a much more limited release of it compared to the other, just like regular ETBs, booster bundles, things like that. But they're going to be hard to come by right now. Everyone is holding on to Prismatic. So that brings me to what I really want to get at today. There are a few Prismatic products that I do think represent some extremely good value right now. If you can find them, whether it's locally or, if you want to do eBay, just keep in mind like you're going to have to factor in the cost of taxes, shipping, things like that. So I always recommend, if you can, to meet up with someone locally who is willing to sell. I would even be buying these at 90-95% market right now. Just because you will save on taxes, shipping, things like that. It's still going to be worth it in my mind. And these represent such a good value because you're getting the ETB, you're getting a booster bundle for around $245. I guarantee you can find these cheaper locally. I don't know anymore. Last week I was seeing some for around 200 flat. Who knows if that's even still available right now because the market is changing so rapidly every single week. But even at $245, the regular ETB alone right now is already over $200. The booster bundles are a little over $70. So you're getting a built-in, $30 cushion on this item right now. I really think that's a good value. I would grab those if you can, if you do see any. Again, these are also going to be great. And the reason these are so good is because the premium figure collections have 11 packs in the box. Just based on pack per pack value, it's kind of hard to beat something like this because you're getting more than what comes in an ETB. Keep that in mind. And that's before taking into account the promos that come in this. You're getting an Espeon, you're getting an Umbreon, wildly popular cards. They're Black Star promos, which we all know do very well over time in this hobby. I think there's a grading play there if you want to open the box and just keep the loose packs. The loose packs will absolutely go up in value as well, and maybe you can grade the promo copies, or just as a pure sealed investment, these are going to do very well. They're very reminiscent of the Great Tusk Paldean Fates boxes that we got, just because you're getting so many packs shoved inside this box compared to something like an ETB. At $180, I think that's a really good value. Okay, this is one of my favorites. I'm down to, the last two that I want to talk about. This one is probably interchangeable with this last one I'm going to talk about. 8-pack mini tins from Costco. This box comes with 16 packs. Keep in mind there's 2 prismatic packs per mini tin in the box, 8 mini tins, 16 prismatic packs, all for around $220. There's a reason that this chart is skyrocketing right now. It is because people are starting to realize that. You're getting a great amount of value in here. These promos are extremely hard to grade. The populations on them are so low, so it's really hard to nail down like a market price on them. But PSA 10 copies of those promos can go for really high amounts, and I think that's going to continue to increase over time, especially, ones like your Umbreon and the super popular EV evolutions like that. But again, even if you don't want to risk the grading play there, as a sealed investment, 16 packs, that's one of the best buys, one of the best plays you can make on Prismatic right now. Last one. It should be extremely obvious. This was a pick of the day for me on, one of my YouTube shorts, PHJ's quick pick of the day. I just don't see many opportunities being better than this for Prismatic. And that's because we're getting so much more supply of it. I totally understand that. They're printing a lot more of these because it's easy to. It's a small box, 6 packs, neatly packed inside. It's easy for the Pokemon company to get those out. But guys, use that to your advantage. If you keep these sealed, there's already a tiny premium there, not as much on something like an ETB where you get a promo in it as well, but it's 6 packs for $70. And they really haven't seen that sharp increase in price like some of the other products. And that's because of the supply on the market. That's going to go away eventually. And when it does, again, using 151 as an example, those booster bundles are what, $180? Maybe it's dropped a little bit now since, the initial craze, but they're still going to continue to get more expensive. These are $70. I can absolutely see these being double what they are right now. Um, they'll eventually match 150, what 151 is doing right now. Whether that's next year or 2 years from now, I don't know. But Prismatic is just such a highly sought after set, guys. And it represents a really low barrier of entry to the market. It's cheaper than pretty much everything we looked at today. Sure, you can do things like buy singles, and if you really want, the artworks or certain cards, I think that's great too. I'm building a National Dex binder. I want some of those evolutions in that binder, 100%. So have fun with it as well. Don't forget that piece of the hobby, guys. But right now, these and the Costco 8-pack mini tins to me just represent the best buys right now. This for 16 packs in a box, hard to beat. This because there's so much supply right now, and if you're willing to hold them for a longer term, like I'd say minimum 12 months, you're going to see really good returns on these. That supply will continue to dry up. And I know I'm beating a dead horse here, guys, but I had to put out this video. I had to continue to hammer the table on this because I don't want it to be overlooked. There's a lot of hype around 151 right now. There are other S&V sets that are rotating out very, very soon. But I still think this is probably the best play in the market right now. I can't say it any more plainly than that. So guys, that's going to do it for today. That's really all I've got. That's all I wanted to tell you guys. If you agree, then, like, comment, subscribe. If you disagree, comment as well. Let me know. Let me know what you're investing in. If there is something that you think is a better play right now than Prismatic, I want to hear it because it's really hard for me to see that right now. Not to say that there's not good choices you can make. And, there's always going to be one-off grading plays and certain PSA 10s that just go through the roof. And those are hard to nail down. I will continue to put out videos of certain singles and artworks that I think are going to do very well over time because there are definitely plays to be had there. And it's also fun to, whether you're building out a binder or you are trying to grade, those plays sometimes do make a lot of sense. But as far as a sealed investment goes, this is where I'm putting my money right now. This is my focus. It has been my focus for the last year. And that's really all I can say now, guys. So again, like, comment, subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll catch you next time. Let's get hunting.